All right, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that's here today for the work session. We're going to get going on our 4:30 work session to go through a few different items, and then we'll have our regular meeting that will begin at 5:30. So we'll go through the agenda. The first item that we do have on the agenda for the work session is to go over our alcohol beverage ordinance revisions. I know that each board member has a couple of revisions on there to go through. What has essentially happened, and I'm going to let Linda take it to explain a little bit further, is we now have businesses that don't fall within a category that our existing ordinance has. When it comes to certain event venues, that there's not a license that covers the category that they have. So what the two revisions that we're wanting to consider, and then for the work session would just be for a point of discussion, and then we would bring it into our next meeting for a regular meeting if we were going to vote to actually incorporate the changes, but to have an opportunity. Under 6.8, it has, actually under 6.2 first, the definitions would be to add a definition for an event venue, which would be any approved establishment holding a current Pickens County business license for the express usage as a place for gathering venue for weddings, corporate events, family reunions, meetings, concerts, etc. Please refer to Article 2, licenses, for information regarding alcohol licensing requirements. And then it has the definition of a licensed alcoholic beverage caterer, meaning any retailer who has been licensed pursuant to Georgia Code 311 and are contractually obligated to an event venue or event coordinator for the express purpose of providing, selling, or serving alcoholic beverages. If you go into Article 2, the actual licenses that are referenced in both definitions, it adds that category in there. So you have restaurants as defined, event venues as defined with the definition of what we just gave, and then licensed alcoholic beverage caterers as the term is defined. Licensed alcoholic beverage caterers are eligible for off-premise licenses, provided they additionally hold a valid license from a county or municipality which authorizes the license to sell malt beverages, wine, or distilled spirits. And then in order to distribute or sell distilled spirits, malt beverages, or wine at an authorized catered function, a licensed alcoholic beverage caterer shall be required to first obtain an event permit from the local issuing authority. It's really just to kind of reflect what the current state of businesses are within our ordinances. But I'm going to Linda, I'm sure I probably left out something there, so I'm going to Linda oversees our alcohol licensing and works with the board to ensure that that's done correctly. So I'm going to let her take it from here.
Basically what we're doing is just trying to catch up with the times from our ordinances, because they are a bit antiquated, if you will, with special event venues. And Pickens County is growing with special event venues. We're just trying to clean up the ordinances so that they can operate under our ordinances.
Got questions? It's fairly cut and dry, but it is just trying to add that one category to where when somebody does apply, they have the right box they can check as to what they're applying for.
Yes.
Well, then what we can do is take that into consideration over the next 2 weeks. If y'all run into questions during the next 2 weeks before our next meeting, reach out to Linda. Linda will be able to walk you through. She has took it before the beer and wine board.
Yes.
And they agreed as well that they felt like it was an appropriate amendment to the ordinance. So, and has a resolution from their board that can go along with anything that we move forward with. Thank you. All right, thank you. Next item on the list is our planning and development rezone conversation. I will explain, since we do have guests in the room, this is not the point where we vote on rezones. This is simply the point where the planning and development director updates us on the record of making sure that anything that's there. It goes through and just reviews the steps that's been taken. So we won't be going into public discussion or anything or having a vote at that point in time. It's just to get that update that comes through during the work session. So Wes, if you want to come on up, I'll get you pulled up on the screen.
All right, I've got my flip chart too, just in case. Let's see if we can flip at the same time. That'd be really good.
All right. You just have to nod at me when you want me to share the screen.
Here we go. You can check. All right, this is Big Canoe Holdings LLC, RZ 190-318. It's Steve Tate Highway in Marble Hill. The current zoning is neighborhood commercial to highway, and then their request is to go to highway business, and it's 2 acres. Parcel number 0147, pardon, 047-005. And it says there was a prior rezone from RR to NC on October 21st, 2021. And the reason for the rezone was to develop climate control storage of boat RV storage. And if we can go ahead to the next one. As you can see, the complexion, we showed the lot as a wooded lot, and that it's current NC. There is RR to the south, there is neighborhood commercial to the rear, and one highway business to the rear, neighborhood commercial, and then across the road is all highway business. Okay? And that's a schematic of what they were proposing to do, that the front part would be some mini storage, and of course they would drive around the top to enter to the top portion of it, so you wouldn't be able to see it going in the front, and then the storage in the back. Now that was their proposal from the original, what I want to call it, the contract that they had. Okay, and then the next slide, that planning development staff recommended approval of the highway business zoning with the following condition: that the applicant must place a 40-foot buffer between this parcel and the adjoining parcel to the south at 047006. And then, of course, the planning commission approved the highway business proposal with the following condition: that the applicant must place a minimum 40-foot buffer between the parcel and the adjoining parcel directly south. Any other questions on this one?
I know that the record was made available to each commissioner, and included in the record was access to no Pickens video of the meeting, with the public meeting that was there. I do have one question just for clarification out of that meeting, whenever it was discussed as to the exact plans for the property. It appeared in watching the video that the property owner indicated that this might not be the plan as to what moved, that there's not an exact contract on that. Is that correct?
The contract that was originally there no longer exists, as far as I understand. Because the guy would call me also, and then he could call them, and they said that the contract's no longer in place.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to clarify.
that was his original intention, and he kept it that way.
Okay. Y'all have any questions?
I don't.
All right. You ready to move on to the next?
Yes. And this is RZ 190357, Dan Poole on behalf of Edge Pool Properties. The property, let me make sure how I want to present this one. We don't have a slide of the property itself first. Can you go one up, and then I'll go back just so you can see? Okay. See the property located on the left-hand side with the blue line around it. As you can see, there is no access to that property right now. Now, the yellow line coming from the top, that's on the other side of Talking Rock Creek, and that's Old Shires Ford Road, which is no longer a county road. Okay, now would you go back? Property not accessible by county or private road located southwest of Shires Ford Road, north of Carver Mill and Townsend Road and Talking Rock Creek. The current zoning is agricultural to suburban residential, and that's the desired for part of the property, not the whole property. Okay, the 29.66 acre portion of a 60 acre. Now you see my parentheses, 49.41. When they did the survey, they found out they didn't own 60 acres, they owned 49.41. Now, sometimes it goes the other way, but not very often. But so they lost 11 acres on the unrecorded survey. The parcel is 014033. The reason for the rezone request to allow direct road access from a future new road located in this preserve at Shires Ford, the subdivision that is projected. Okay, now those maps there, as you can see, the proposed ones, the property that is below in the SR in the green to the right, that is what Shires Ford may become. And if you go to the next slide, you can see that the property that is the 21.29 and the 8.83 is what they're going to sell, and then the property to the north of that is what they're going to keep. So there's the rezone, the 21.29 and the 8.39. And the recommendations, planning and development staff recommends approval for the suburban residential zoning, and the planning commission recommended approval of the suburban residential zoning also.
Do you have questions? I'm going to go back to the map.
Okay, yeah, let's
Just
go back to
for
the map.
clarity. Everything below Talking Rock Creek, where they don't have access to be able to come through, that's the point of where that 29 is when we go to this map here?
Correct,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I was just trying to verify.
Right.
Okay. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah. And this
And
one,
I need to say real quick on the next
Yeah.
one, I have to recuse myself of this, on this vote. Mr. Gibbs is a customer of the nursery where I work, so I'm not able to vote on this one.
okay, this is conditional use 190358, Rodney Buckingham on behalf of James H. Gibbs Jr. The address is 328 Flower Lane, Ball Ground, Georgia, 40.56 acres, parcel 068140. And the reason for the conditional use is to convert an existing single-family residence into a retreat conference center. Next slide. As you can see, that's the property. Cherokee County is directly south of us, where you can see the parking area and some of the structures on Mr. Gibbs' garden. And then Flower Lane is coming in from the northwest side of it, on the north side of that lake, and going into the property. Any questions on the map before we move on, as far as location and being able to see where it is? Okay, and then the next slide. That's the part of the survey that shows the entrance is going to be going south and into Cherokee County and back to the parking lot that is located in Gibbs Garden. And that's important because the issue of access has become a difficult issue. And Mr. Gibbs has said that he would not use that for access. The access will be through the existing drive in Gibbs Garden. The next slide. The recommendations of the Planning and Development Department, the staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit with the following condition: that the hours of operation are not to exceed 10 p.m. daily. And the Planning Commission did not render a decision for approval or denial on the conditional use request. Now, everyone understands conditional use. They have asked for a use in specificity, so if they vary from that use, then they can be denied and shut down. In other words, he's asking to renovate that house for a center, for a retreat conference center. And if he doesn't do that, then there's no longer a conditional use. Okay. Any more questions?
Questions? Recuse yourself, so I'm looking your direction. So, questions on you? Okay.
Okay.
Wes, thank you very much. All right. Back to the right agenda. All right, so department head updates. Went through, Kirk's got a very busy, active season. Seems like I call on you first pretty much every single time, but.
I just assume it is over with, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Yes, contractors have shut down for the long weekend on Cove Road, Grandview area. We've actually got 2 crews out there. That crew is gonna be moving out that did the deep patching on Cove Road. And the second crew is gonna start the FDR, which is full depth reclamation, on Grandview next Tuesday. They're gonna start at Dollar General and they'll be moving north, and they're gonna be alternating lanes, so they'll work on one lane, for a period, and then they'll jump back and do the other lane. And that'll let the crews continuously move north, but they'll be going from one lane to the other, so the road will not be shut down, and they'll have flaggers, so, there will be traffic going through. It will probably be congested, but, we're not shutting down the road completely. What's gonna be left out there for a little while, after that crew goes through, they're actually milling the process they're using is milling the asphalt down into the base, and they're mixing cement with it. So when they get done, the surface is gonna be something kind of a cross between a gravel road and a concrete pad, because it's gonna be wet and rolled in tight. It is gonna be safe to drive on, but I would use caution on it, and it is gonna be like that for a week or two until the asphalt crew comes back in and resurfaces it. This is gonna be an asphalt road when it gets done with. It is gonna have stripes. It is gonna be a very nice road and very structurally sound whenever we get done with it, but it is gonna take a little bit of time, so just bear with us. And they are gonna go back over the patches on Cove Road. We've had numerous complaints about the way they left the surface there. A lot of the reason it's like that, they actually went all the way down to the gravel in most places. They put a lot of asphalt back in there, and it's kind of it's an exact science as to how much that's going to compact. So it actually compacted more in some places, so they are going to go back and skim coat over that to give us a better ride surface. So it will not be like that until paving season next year, whenever we come back and resurface the whole road. And again, we are going to resurface the whole road. We are going to paint new stripes. It is going to be a very nice road whenever we get done with it. This is just kind of an interim step, but we've kind of got to get our teeth and get through it.
But I think it's important to point out when people ask that question, why we didn't do both at the same time. To deep patch Cove Road for an 8-mile stretch of Cove Road was close to $1 million. To be able to take that all the way down to the base and to get that asphalt to fix those patches, to come back and resurface a total of 8 miles is probably going to be very close to that same dollar amount, another $1 million. So to be able to spread out and do all the projects that we were trying to do this year, there was no way to do $2 million worth on Cove Road all at one time. So we did the patching this year, knowing that it was going to have a checkerboard look for a few months until we can come back and get it resurfaced. But it's fixed right, so the road will actually hold up in the future. It's just going to look funny for a few months, and we'll get complaints on a daily basis for a few months. But I wanted to point that out. It wasn't by intent, but it's just by necessity of dollar amount. So,
And as soon as the milling process is a lot slower than the paving process, so the crews are going to mill for a week and a half, and let that crew get ahead. And when the asphalt crew comes back in, they'll assess whether they need to start behind that crew on Grandview. We've also got Old Grandview on the west side, going back towards Old Burnt Mountain. We're going to resurface it as well. When that crew comes back in, they'll assess whether they're going to start on Old Grandview, Cove Road, or Grandview Road. And I'll try to keep everybody posted as best I can, as they make that decision. I'll try to keep everybody up to date as best I can, but that's the plan as we see it as of now.
thank you. Any questions? Kurt? They're slow season.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my hammock.
Anyone else have any updates that you want to make sure we get included today? I know we typically do during our other meeting on the third Thursday, try to get updates from everybody, but if anybody has any they want to include. Of course, you don't have to. So, under general discussion, kind of going through, we are in the middle of working on getting a grant prepared for water projects. The state opened up a short window of time to get some grant applications in place. Working on a project for the west end of the county to increase the size of the tank and to increase some capacity that would significantly help us get the lines to pick up new customers and be prepared for any growth. But it also would help out the city of Jasper with creating more availability from the water that they pick up there. We began that grant process about a week and a half ago. Mm-hmm. We've been working with Turnip Seed Engineers, had a meeting today with Representative Jaspers. He's going to try to help us with a letter of support from his end, and Senator Gooch as well. So we're in the process of that, trying to get it, and then be very, very helpful if we're able to pull that off. And I think that it's a highly competitive grant, but I do think that we're uniquely positioned, being the only county in Georgia without a major water source. So it should be good. whole lot of other things going on, but I know that, I think that Mr. Langham's kept y'all up to date on several, and Mr. Woods kept you up to date on quite a few other items. So that's all I have, unless y'all have some other discussion items. If you want. Well, it is now 4:52, so we will adjourn the work session. The regular meeting will begin at 5:30, so everyone that's here for that, feel free to stick around. And then we will get going as we go through. Thank you again.